Meeting is being live streamed
It's
right
being
into
live streamed.
Mar-a-Lago.
That's right. So they're seeing backstage right now. Say howdy on the live chat here. They're not going to know what to do. I haven't had Global Star Party in a while, so
Yeah, and I think a month and a half. I think the last one I think was 30, third, no, 30 of May, last day of May.
yeah. So it's
I think that was
been a
the last
long
one.
time. That's
Hmm.
right. That's right. But I'm excited. You know, it was a real, uh, you know, energy charge to be at Alcon and see all those people. You know, David gave a great talk.
Mm.
Got a standing ovation. You know,
Wow.
it was wonderful. Fred Espinak's talk during in the planetarium was really interesting, and everybody just had a great time. Don't you think so, David?
I believe so. I think it was one of the most successful meetings.
Yep.
It was really fun to meet our president, Carol George,
Yes.
and to talk with him at length on a number of topics,
Mm.
and to meet Ron Kramer, previous president of the league and
Ron Kramer. That's right.
the publisher of my latest book. And generally, it was a wonderful, wonderful time. And if I can just figure out how to get out of bed, I'll be doing a lot better.
Well, you'll get there. You'll get there.
But that's really the issue right now, is that I just can't get up and when the alarm goes off. Sometimes I'll turn it off, sometimes I just let it ring. And it's a real struggle to get out of bed. But I'm up now and I'm doing much better. And I'm all set to go. And I even have a quotation.
Awesome. Awesome.
We've missed the Global Star Party, Scotty. We've
Mhm.
missed it a lot.
Definitely.
You know, I follow you guys in social media and Facebook, and when I saw the picture that everyone was sharing of the Alcon ceremony and everything, you know, I'm really glad for you that you could meet again, passing through this forgotten COVID situation and everything in the past, and see you guys hugging again, talking again, having a really good time, of course, in this case in astronomy, but even that, beyond that, it's very important to still continue meeting, you know, and I hope someday I could meet you or be with you in another convention.
I hope so too. That would be so nice. It'd be so nice if all of us could get together in person someday.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that.
Well, there's, you know, that is definitely um, happening again, and um, it feels. I mean, every time you see somebody you haven't seen in a long time, you know, it's just so energizing. You know, I don't have any other word for it. It puts you a big smile on your face, and you're so glad to see them and shake their hand and sit there and talk to them face to face. It has a big effect.
Yeah.
The bad that the thing bad of that is when you meet with a lot of people that you've been not seeing a long time ago, because you want to talk with everyone and you
That's
don't
right.
have that time. But well, of course, you had to compensate this. But anyway, it's very comfortable.
Except this time I made the time. I sort of sat in one spot
Excellent,
and let
excellent.
people talk. I really did enjoy that.
We have Harold Locke and Ed Gunther watching on YouTube right now, so
Oh, great.
nice to hear from them.
Hello, Ed Gunther. Oh, when you can
Yeah.
later.
And okay, I've got like
I
a little
understand
feature.
that Mr. Gunther is going to come out for Wendy's unveiling ceremony later this fall.
Okay,
And I understand that the weather by then might have cooled off a little bit.
I
Let's
sure hope so.
And it'll be a good memory, a sad one, but a good memory
Yeah,
to the ceremony.
Ed says hello back, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
After nearly 2 years of studying asteroid Bennu in great detail, NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission made its approach to collect a sample from the rugged surface. The spacecraft steered itself down to the surface of the Nightingale crater, dodging hazards on its approach. It sunk deep into the surface and collected an incredible amount of asteroid sample. OSIRIS-REx backed away from Bennu, and the team sealed up the return capsule and prepared for the long journey to Earth. OSIRIS-REx is preparing to rendezvous with Earth and will deliver the asteroid sample on September 24, 2023. The return capsule will land in the Utah desert and will be opened and studied for years to come.
Hey everybody, this is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance. And tonight we celebrate the 124th Global Star Party with the theme of the Perseids. The Perseids have been observed by the Chinese since 36 AD and observed by cultures around the world. The Perseids are attributed to a comet called Swift-Tuttle. And so Swift and Tuttle discovered this comet. Let me get their first names here. Lewis Swift and Horace Tuttle independently discovered this comet in 1862. But this comet has been making its rounds around the sun for a long, long time, and no one's quite sure when it all started. But humans started looking at it in very early recorded history. So the debris that's left by comets create meteor showers. And so as we go around in our orbit, Earth's going around the sun at about 60,000 miles an hour, it collides with the dust and debris that's left over from comets and creates these showers. In the case of the Perseids, the radian, the point of the sky where it looks like it's coming from, is in the constellation Perseus. So Swift-Tuttle has produced some of the most well-known and most reliable meteor showers, the Perseids, since people started looking up at the sky and trying to figure it all out. Comets and the resulting meteors and meteor showers capture, our imagination like few other celestial objects can. And this has an effect of preserving dark skies, because people want to get to nice, clear, dark skies to observe these things, because they're just fantastic to see. You don't observe meteors with telescopes. You would observe comets with telescopes, but a lot of times if they're bright and they have a big long tail, you're still going to be using the naked eye to observe these things. So we expect that our speakers here will have some amazing talks for you. We kick it off with comet discoverer David Levy, who will give some introduction and poetry. Bob Fugate, who is the father of modern adaptive optics that's used on the big professional telescopes. But Bob is also an amateur astronomer and does amazing astrophotography all of his own. Young Navin Senthil Kumar is going to join us. Daniel Barth from the University of Arkansas will be with us tonight. Maxi Falieres down in Argentina with his amazing astrophotography. We'll take a break and then we'll come back with Adrian Bradley, Marcello Souza from Brazil, Cesar Brollo from Argentina, and then finishing up with John Schwartz out there in California, and his amazing drawings and artistic interpretation of the night sky. So anyways, I'm happy to kick this off, and we'll turn this over to David Levy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Global Star Party. I missed it, and I think a lot of you guys and gals have missed it also. It's good to have it back. Good to have it back, Scott.
Yes.
Anyway, I have a few stories to share about our theme tonight, the Perseids. The first one is in 1964. I was waiting for a ride to go see them out in the country. And my dad was alone, and he said, before they pick you up, could we go out to a restaurant, you and me, and have dinner? And I said, sure. And we went to Chinoy's. And at the time, they had a lot of Chinoy's around the city. And this one had, you'd sit in the booth, and there'd be a little record machine by the side of the table. You put in a quarter, you choose the song you want, and it plays over the whole restaurant. And I asked Dad if he had any ideas. And he said, are you going to let me choose a song? And it was clear he was getting very excited about this. And I said, I would love to do that. He said, I'd love to hear some big band music. That was when I was growing up. And we found something. And I put in the quarter, and we're listening to it, and Dad had this smile on his face that I will never forget. God, I miss him so much. But 1966, we saw 906 meteors, and then we've had others, and I'm looking forward to this year's shower as well. Not sure if we're going to have clear sky or not, but it is later in the night, so I think we have a chance for it. And that brings me to the quote of the week. Of all the people that we knew, the one that I never knew, but I so wish that I did, is Leonard Cohen. I mean, I heard that he went to Israel to give a concert late in his life. And when he was standing in front of the audience, he began with the Matovu Alecha Yaakov Mishanosach Yisrael. How goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, thy dwelling places, O Israel. He made a personal welcome that I think the audience just loved. And I think he tried to do that in a lot. I kind of missed Leonard. He went to the same elementary school I did, but about 10 years earlier. He went to the same high school I did, about 10 years before me. He went to McGill, about 10 years before me. And he also was I think his parents founded the Shar Shemaim congregation, of which my family are longtime members. And when we went for my mother's unveiling ceremony a number of years ago, Wendy was walking around kind of exploring some of the other grave sites, and she discovered the tomb of Leonard Cohen. She was so excited she could hardly speak. She just called me to come over, and I looked at it, and we just gazed at this beautiful, beautiful memory of Leonard Cohen. So here's my quotation. It's from Hallelujah, but it is a little extra stanza that I composed for it. I don't think Leonard would have minded, because the song that he originally did was only about a tenth of the number of verses that he actually wrote for it. So here's mine. It's time to go outdoors tonight. The sky is dark. Some stars are bright. The Milky Way shines overhead. Now see a comet rises in the east. With end to strife, it brings us peace and calls us to a cosmic hallelujah. 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 Thank you for letting me do this.
David, thank you so much. Thank you. That's great. Now, we also have a special guest who will come on later in our program, space artist and author Michael Carroll. So normally we have about a 10-minute break, but we're just gonna forget the break, and Michael's gonna come on during that time, and we'll give him a good amount of time to give his presentation. So, yeah, really happy to have him on. David, thank you very, very much. I love to hear you singing, so thank you. Okay, that's great. So we are happy to have people come back to Global Star Party. We've had some people be on for a number of segments, and Bob Fugate has done that with us. He took a little bit of a break, but it's wonderful to have him back. I was pleasantly, I had a big smile on my face when I saw his email saying, hey, I'll be there. So Bob, thank you for coming on to the 124th Global Star Party.
Thank you, Scott. It's really great to be back kind of in the flow of things here. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you and all the guests and astronomers and people interested in the world and the universe contribute to this. But I can't say enough about all the work you do and all the great public outreach that you do. It's just incredible.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, I better get on with it here. I'm going to try to share my screen and see if I can get this to work. So I feel like I've gone from the frying pan, which was the suburbs of Albuquerque, New Mexico, into the fire, which is Phoenix, Arizona. I live just north of city center in the old part, and the sky here is very, very bright, and something I was not used to, something I expected. We made the move because we really needed to get closer to our family, and that's worked out extremely well. So back in Albuquerque, I had a little backyard observatory in a Bortle 6 kind of area, and I was able to do quite a number of things with that. Here I brought the pier with me to Phoenix and set it back up. I just have a concrete pillar at the moment. Maybe someday I'll think about building something around it, but so I got started here, and the first thing I realized was I needed to go somewhere else that was darker. And so I ran into a couple of fellows on YouTube. They have a YouTube channel. One is called AZ Forerunner, and his name is Jason. And the other fellow is Iceman Astro, a very appropriate term since they both live in Yuma, Arizona. And so they have a 10-acre site in the middle of the desert, east of Yuma. And I got invited out there, and it's quite the spot, quite a drive from Phoenix, but it was great. So I went there one night in May, and I mostly took my Astro modified Z6 and a 105 millimeter lens. And here's an example of an image I got there. It's about 103 minutes of total exposure.
Wow.
So this is the Cygnus region, Deneb and Cedar, North America, etc. In the meantime, I decided that I would try some improvements to my about a year old Takahashi Epsilon 160. It's faster, and it has the potential to be extremely good with full frame sensors. So I started working on that in the backyard, and I started with some actually broadband images, and I thought, I better shoot something bright. So stars are bright. So here's M13. This is, somebody will have to remind me how to close this.
Are you in PowerPoint or?
Well, I'm trying to close the little thing at the top here that allows me to, oh, I can move it down. I was just trying to see how long this exposure was, 64 minutes.
Yeah, we can read that on the screen.
Okay, I was not able to see it. And so I was pretty pleased with that, but I kept working on the tuning up of the optics on the Epsilon, and I tried M51. This is 4.5 hours now. A lot of L filter exposures, but I'm kind of hiding the residual light pollution in these pictures. You know, the dark point, the black point is set up so that you really don't see the noise in the image because it's mostly light pollution. And then we had the supernova, and I tried that. So here is about 4 hours of HA with some LRGB, mostly with some hydrogen alpha. And but the real weapon against light pollution is, of course, narrowband filters. And so I started looking more toward that direction. Here is M16, the Eagle Nebula, and the Pillars of Creation. This is a only 54-minute total integration using 3 nanometer filters. And I find that even though the Epsilon, yes, even though the Epsilon is f3.3, and these filters are really designed for, you know, f4 and above, I did some measurements actually, and determined that the loss in signal was about 10%, which is not too bad. So given the cost of filters these days, I'm going to stick with this for a while and see how it goes. So then I met a friend out at the Alpha Scorpii, Michael, and he suggested we try a place near Gold Canyon called Peralta Spring. So I met him there, and it's about an hour's drive from my house. And it's gorgeous. It's classical Sonoran desert. And when the sun set, here's my Milky Way shot. This is only 27 30-second exposures. The sky was about 20.6 on my SQM sky quality meter. And this was shot with a 40 millimeter Sigma art lens on my Nikon D850 at f2.
Holy smokes.
And I also shot the Antares and Rho complex, this being 91 minutes total. My Astro modified Z6 was the camera. And again, this was the 106 millimeter f2 lens. I also shot with the 106, this region around M81. I've annotated it here to kind of get you oriented. And I was pretty pleased with all of this. Oh dear, it didn't. Let me see if I can go back. There. All of this integrated flux nebula. Here's M82, M81, and M82 to get you on scale. So that's pretty amazing. And as I understand it, this material is actually outside the galaxy and is being illuminated by stars integrated over the galaxy.
Wow.
So I finally got to its current state. I replaced the focuser, the stock focuser on the Epsilon. I added a Falcon rotator from Pegasus. This is my filter wheel. It has LRGB and the 3 nanometer filters. This is a device called an Octopi, which allows me to adjust the tilt and back focus of the camera. And it's very critical in the f3.3 system. Not as critical as f2, but it's still very important if you want really the best quality right into the corner. And the optics on the Epsilon are up to it. It's just that their stock focuser isn't quite there. My mini computer here rides on the telescope and controls everything. The only wire going across the gimbal is power, because I'm using a new Ioptron harmonic drive mount, and it has power through the gimbal. So that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So here is an image I took in my backyard in Phoenix. It's 2 hours and 6 minutes of total integration. It's a classical SHO image with narrowband filters, and I'm quite pleased with it. The image quality is superb. The stars are small. The resolution and the cloud structures, it's really good. So I decided it was time to deploy this, and my friend Michael and I rented a VRBO east of Payson, Arizona for 3 nights. And we had a nice clear view of the sky in the middle of the forest there, but it was only one of the very few places that had such a view. And here was my setup. Here is Michael's setup here. And I ran everything on this lithium iron phosphate battery, set it on a little shelf I made in order to add additional stability to the tripod. I have a counterweight on the harmonic drive mount, even though it's not required. I just felt better when it's over on its side. I just didn't want the tripod tipping over. So here's what the sky looks like from that location. This is this is almost 2 hours of exposure. Again, with my Nikon Z6 and this is totally wrong. This label I messed up. Ignore everything I said about it. This is, I think, only 30 minutes of exposure. And it's the 40 millimeter lens on my Nikon Z6. So the label is wrong. So through the telescope on the first night, I went after Barnard 150, sometimes called the Seahorse Nebula. And I included the Fireworks Galaxy. And this is 2 hours of exposure, LRGB. On the second night, I decided to try for a really hard target. That is the Squid and the Flying Bat Nebula. And as some of you may know, the Squid was only discovered in 2011 by a French astrophotographer, Nicolas Outers. And it's extremely faint. So here is a single 3-minute exposure. It's an outflow from this very bright star that has an outline, and I'm kind of drawing around it here. And I'm amazed that you can actually see some image in only one exposure. So I did some calculations and figured I needed 7 hours. So here's the full frame at 7 hours. This is 3 nanometers at 03. The site was averaging about 20.6. I'm sorry, that's another mistake. That should be 21.6.
Okay.
Not 20.6, which is a big difference. So please forgive me for that mistake. I hope that in the future, if anybody looks at this, they'll hear the audio. I put the labels in and then I messed up. So sorry. So here is the Squid, and you can even see some faint O3 in the rest of the nebula here. And when I put the HA data and I exposed for RGB stars to get the star color right, And here I made sure that I included this dark nebula. This is B150 again. This was my result. And I've had quite a few of my friends tell me they have tried this object again and again and have failed. So after only 7 hours of O3, 9 hours total, I'm quite pleased with what I got on my 2-night visit. And the really neat thing is I did some additional analysis, and I'm not going to read this, and hopefully you can look at it later, but I estimated the signal to noise in the brightest part of the nebula, which is here blown up to 300%. And I calculated that the signal to noise should be, well, the signal to noise measured is about 0.4 for a single exposure, and it should be around, for 151 exposures average, it should be around 5. And that's very close to what I calculated. And in fact, I made an analytical prediction using my simplified signal to noise model, and it predicted I needed 7 hours to reach a signal to noise of 5, which was very, very close. And what I find interesting here is that this object is so faint that my telescope was detecting a photon only once every 280 seconds on average. So this brings new meaning to the phrase counting ancient photons.
Yes.
It's really quite amazing
One at a time.
that we live in such a great time with all this super technology that allows us to do this sort of thing.
Right.
Okay, so let me say a few words about the Perseids. This is an image I made at a very, very dark site in the Gila National Forest in New Mexico in 2015. I didn't have a great camera. This is only 30 minutes of 30-second worth of 30-second exposures. And I was seeing a lot more than this with my naked eye. This was a great time because this particular year there was no moon, and it was just incredible. And I have friends who have a cabin there. And this is a picture of their cabin with the Milky Way and one of the Perseids. So it's just, I would encourage everyone to get to the darkest place you can in order to take full advantage of this just iconic event.
Absolutely.
And in
That's great
2018,
shots. That's great.
I had a better camera. I tried to put together a collage, a composite from, in this case, about 80 minutes of meteors. And here you can see, for instance, the double cluster in Perseids. So I was a little off. It's good to be, I think, a little off center of the radiant in order to get a good display. And this was only 20 minutes from my house in Albuquerque on the other side of the Sandia Mountains in the Cibola National Forest, and was an excellent spot and time well and very efficient on my time. And then this is not Perseids, but in December of that year, I went back to the same location for the Geminids. And if you look exactly opposite the radiant, all the meteors are coming down to the horizon in parallel. And it's quite a striking view.
That's beautiful.
This shot made with a 24 millimeter lens. We have one errant meteor up here that, doesn't belong, but we'll accept him anyway. And this is the view with 30-second exposures for 45 minutes through the 105 millimeter lens. So when you're shooting meteors, it's very important to get the brightest lens you can. And I shoot all my lenses for Meteors at wide open at f1.4. And here is a single one, same location. This one with a 40mm lens on a different camera. I just included it because it went right by Orion. And then in my backyard earlier that fall, about 2 weeks earlier, I was setting up that 105mm lens just for testing. And again, I have the wrong label up here. Lo and behold, I captured a pretty nice looking meteor. And if we zoom in on this, you can, again, this is Orion. And all these little streaks here are geosatellites, which the Orion Nebula happens to be right in the middle of the geobelt. And I don't know if it shows in the video, but there is a lot of material being blown off the trail of the meteor in both directions here. And then in this direction, the crosswinds are causing twisting of that material. So that was a lucky capture. And I'll end with this shot, which is a super stretched version of my visit to the VRBO east of Payson. And I've stretched the image to show the dust in and around the Rho complex and the Blue Horsehead Nebula. So that's what I had to present.
Amazing, amazing astrophotography. You know, Bob, every time I look at your work, I see not only technically, I mean, excellent work, but you have a sense of style and a sense of composition that really makes these images sing. And I love that.
Thank you very much. I feel like I don't have a creative bone in my body, but
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent work. You know, and I look at the landscapes even and foreground lighting that appears to be in some of the images, even though the sky's extremely dark. They're inspiring photographs all by themselves. You know, I think many of the people watching this can see the creative part of this, and
Okay. Thank you.
Spectacular work. So thank you very much for sharing.
You bet.
Thanks.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad you are back. So thanks. We are going to Dallas, Texas, to young Navin Senthil Kumar, who was also, I mentioned earlier, he was at the Northeast Astronomy Forum, and I got to meet him and his whole family. So it was really cool. And I think he had a good time. What did you think of the Astronomical League convention, Navin?
Con was pretty cool. I got to meet a lot of people.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. That's great. Well, I expect that when you get into high school that you'll apply for something to do with the National Young Astronomers Award. So did you meet the winners that were there?
Yeah, I got to meet a few of them.
Okay. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully that's inspiring and moves you towards doing, I have no doubt that you'll do research at one point. So thank you very much.
I'm actually going to talk about the Perseids meteor shower. So I'm gonna share my screen right now.
Yeah.
Do y'all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So Perseids meteor shower. Firstly, we need some basic information. For y'all's information, it's going to be visible from July 17th to August 24. Its current right ascension is going to be 3 hours and 4 minutes. For declination, it's going to be plus 58. And for some history, it was discovered during the year 36. That was the first recorded. If you want to pronounce it correctly, it's Perseids. And it's in the constellation Perseids. Firstly, we need to know what causes the Perseids meteor shower. And the Perseids meteor shower was caused by the comet Swift-Tootle. So we need some information about the comet. It was discovered by two astronomers, Lewis Swift and Horace Tootle, in 1862. Last time it passed by Earth was 1992, but sadly it was too faint to be seen but with a naked eye. The next passes in about 100 years, which is in 2126. We don't know if it could make naked eye contact, but in brightness to the Hale-Bopp comet in 1997, providing that the predictions are correct. We don't exactly know. Where is the Perseids meteor shower? The Perseids meteor shower is exactly in the comet Perseus, which I was telling. Sorry, the constellation Perseus, which I was telling earlier. You can see the Perseid meteor shower in the northern hemisphere, down to the mid-southern latitudes. And all you need to catch the show is darkness, somewhere comfortable to sit, and a bit of patience. For the constellation's position, it's going to be right ascension 3 hours exactly, and the declination is going to be 45 degrees. Visible between the latitudes, if you want to know, 90 and negative 35 degrees. When is the best time to view the Perseid meteor shower? So for comet hunters, people, they might know better. It's probably going to be during the pre-dawn hours. The peak viewing days are typically your best shot to see the meteors. Probably to see the meteors, look up to the north. In the southern latitudes, you can probably look northeast to see more meteors. Could comet Swift-Tootle collide with Earth? That's a disturbing question. One astronomer calculates that Swift-Tootle's orbit will once suggested that it could come dangerously close to Earth in about 2126 and possibly collide with the planet. That was kind of similar to Shoemaker Levy 9 when it collided almost near the Earth, but then which was a serious threat, but it actually ended up colliding in Jupiter. We don't exactly know because I recall it's in 100 years, and we can't predict like that. However, show by the comet will or not, according to a primer by the Astronomical Society of the Pacific. Credit to them. For meteor hunters, they're obviously going to know. For average people like us, these are some 4 essential things. A red flashlight. If you want to see fainter meteors, your eyes will need to be adapted to the dark. If you're using a night sky map or need to see in the dark, we'd recommend using a red flashlight to preserve your night vision. Warm clothing. You obviously need warm clothing because in some places it can get chilly, even in summer. So hat, scarf, thick coat for long observing periods. Even a nice to have is a sleeping bag. A hot drink is the best thing. It's a great way to stay warm during the cold night. Tea and coffee are popular beverages to help you stay awake. Actually avoid alcohol because it can make you colder. Stick to hot drinks. That's advisable. And probably a deck chair. Hunting for meteors involves a considerable amount of looking up, which can be a strain on the neck. A deck chair is perfect for keeping you in an inclined position for maximum comfort and viewing opportunities. These are some additional resources for learning about Comet Swift-Tootle and the bibliography, and I'm just going to share some Alcon images. First image was Carroll, right there.
That Alcon.
Yeah, that was all at Alcon in Baton Rouge. That's David Levy. We have the latest Sky News magazine there, the volume, and then that was during the planetarium. that day. There was like a planetarium show in the dome, like in the Louisiana Arts and Science Museum. And I'm just poking around with an exhibit. That is Galileo. That's a statue. That's a statue of him, like a model of him. This is, I think that's Copernicus. I don't know. But I know for sure this is Newton because his apple and like his hair and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's me with like a huge like Milky Way shot. That's David Levy's speech. That's also part of his talk. And that's Guy. And then I forgot what his name was. And that was with Tim Lowry. I think he's from somewhere. I forgot. Yeah, that's all the images I got from Alcon. Oh, and this one's from Terry. Yeah.
Yeah, Guy is a brother Guy, Consul Magno, if that's how you pronounce it.
Anto Magno.
He was director of the Vatican Observatory.
Yeah. Who's the other person who was with him?
The co-author of Turn Left at Orion. And that guy I got to talk to quite a bit at Alcon, and he was wonderful. Yeah, so I'm glad you got to meet a lot of those people, because, you're the next generation of astronomers, Navin, and you'll tell stories about some of the people you met back when you were at this age.
Yeah, I also got to meet a few other young astronomers at Alcon.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, that's all. That's all my talk, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. That's great. Well, so let's come back over here to Arkansas, and we are with Dr. Daniel Barth. Daniel is a university professor at U of A. I think he's now retired, and he's starting phase maybe 3.0, 4.0 of his life. I'm not sure.
Something like that, yes.
But Daniel has always been incredibly enthusiastic about outreach in astronomy, educating the public about astronomy, showing people how to understand the processes at work in our own solar system and beyond. And he's also been great at explaining the process of science. And he encourages everybody to get involved in science somehow. And we're glad to have him on the 124th Global Star Party for a short segment of, I guess, How Do You Know, which has been his sustaining program. So thank you very much, Daniel.
Thank you, Scott. Really nice to be back. And yes, I've officially retired from STEM education, at least with the university. So that means I finished up with something like 45 years in the classroom, which maybe that's enough. But in any case, I just wanted to share some of my enthusiasm for meteor showers. One of the most amazing things about a meteor shower for introducing people to the sky, one of the most common misperceptions with people who are not enthusiastic astronomers is that the sky is permanent, it's unchanging, nothing happens there, it's just the same stuff in the same places. And so I delight in activities that actually people can experience and participate in and marvel at the solar system in motion. And there's few things better than that than watching a bunch of suicidal rocks from outer space come splash themselves against the windscreen of the Earth, which is our atmosphere. And the idea of a radiant. And folks who are photographers, bow down to your mad skills, and I love your work. But I've always taught more low tech than that. So let me share with you a little bit about what I do for teaching and I've done for outreach with meteor showers. We would usually do 2 every year. The Perseids would be kind of a parents, kids, welcome, come on out. And we would have a fun night. And we would take telescopes and set them up in the football stadium. We got the custodial crew was in on the game, and they would turn out all the lights. But the stadium was really nice because, unlike some of my earlier adventures where I took out in the boondocks amongst the sagebrush and the cactus watching meteors and coyotes and whatever else, the stadium wasn't nice. It made parents feel safe about sending their kids to come do an astronomy evening because we had this nice environment. It was enclosed. We could lock the stadium gates. And it was a party where there was bathroom facilities, and we would encourage all the parents, bring a crock pot of soup or chili or snacks. And everybody would, it was kind of like a backyard barbecue sort of atmosphere. For meteor watching, what we did is we would go ahead and print out, we printed out copies of star maps, simple star maps surrounding the area of the radiant where we were going to look. And we encourage students, by the time the meteor shower come, to be a bit familiar with the constellations, to know the major ones. And then the challenge was, when you see a meteor, the instructions were, as soon as you see a meteor, you say, "Ooh, meteor," which you could hear everybody chorusing, which was great fun. Hear all these shouts of joy coming out of the dark. And I said, okay, I want you to work in pairs, and somebody is going to be primary observer, somebody's going to be recorder, and we trade off. The observer is going to look for, where did it start? Where did it end? See if you can identify those points on a map. Draw me an arrow. Is this going to be perfect? No. The map projections have some errors. The observations aren't perfect. The nice thing is, it doesn't matter. Kids go ahead and they draw their arrows, and next to the arrow, you write a number. This is number 1, number 52, number 37, whichever. And then you had a data sheet. You recorded the time, the number, color, because that gave us clues as to elements, because when different elements burn up in the atmosphere, different colors. Did it fragment? Were there trails? Were there little pieces shooting off? Was it a bolide? How bright was it? We had students use the Schaff scale. You may or may not be familiar. Fred Schaff, who was a marvelous writer, and I believe he's been with Sky and Telescope forever. But he came out with a lovely book some years ago called The Starry Room. And he had a lovely chapter where he ranks meteors basically from 1 to 10, basically meteoric dust that never burns up at all, to, you know, the dinosaurs are going away today, which was a level 10. And I would ask them, classify the level and the color. And we would go ahead and gather data. Now, when we were doing this for the Leonid meteors, which occur in mid-November, that was also our makeup lab day. So if you were shy on lab points, we were going to be out there from 9 or 10 o'clock until dawn the next morning. And so I had telescopes set up with little activities, and you could make up lots of lab points. But the cool thing was, the next day, we would take everybody's data and put it onto one big map. And when we did these things, when I started doing this in the early 90s, we would have 6, 10, 15 students. By the time we get into the 2000s, and I'm teaching at college and high school at the same time, we would have hundreds of people out on the football field looking up and recording. And when you aggregate that much data, the radiant becomes beautifully, apparently clear. And we could usually peg it within about half a degree, which for no instrumentation, no cameras, was pretty darn awesome. But the wonderful thing about science, like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. So when we went out in 2001, and this is in Hemet, California, and we went up towards Say, where it is. It's like radiance. We had one in Perseus and we had one in Ursa Major. And so 2001, did we have the internet? Yes. Was it the information juggernaut it is? So we were emailing people.
Getting some freeze frame here. And I think it's on his side. We might lose him here.
Seeing any meteors from it, and could we get a radiant? Pulled together this chart, and but I have it somewhere. The chart with both radiants on it, but I couldn't find it at that time. Thing with 2 radiants, and the students were so excited. Yes, of course you have. And the wonderful thing about going out is virtually every phenomenon you see, if for the first time. If you're photographing the Eta, that thing's still expanding. It's going to look different this year and next year. If you're seeing a meteor shot, which segment? Because the orbits all leave behind different. They're all quite dense, but usually Earth impacts them many decades to spread out and diffuse. I think it was 2001 or 2002 when we had the landed meteor storm.
Mm-hmm.
We were going out and we were getting hundreds of meteors an hour. The beautiful, so much science, so much math, such superb, really can't say I can guarantee how exciting it's going to be. There's always, and see, well, why? We don't know. Or aren't you looking at, wasn't it here last year and the year before? Yes, but it might be different. Come out with me and we'll see. For why blue? Why can't we hear them? Itself. Why isn't there rolling crashes of? Explain to my students, gee, if you can hear the meteor coming, it's probably going. We all like to think that we know what. But of course, then you get the in Siberia, and this 400-500 megaton explosion. Window. Oh, I wish I was there. Well, what would you do if you saw? I said I would tape my phone to a wall, down in a lawn chair, staring at my camera and waiting for the sonic boom to wash over me, a la that Memorex. Remember the Memorex ad with the guy sitting?
Yes, I remember. I do.
Back in his
Daniel,
hair. And
for some reason, you're getting a lot of freeze frames. I don't know if
I'm getting a lot of what?
You're getting you're freezing up, cutting and freezing.
Oh, I'm freezing up.
Yeah. There's probably no dial that you can turn to make the internet faster, but you know, so.
I'm not sure. Yeah, we've been having issues at the house with heat and electronics the last because among
really
other things we
hot out
haven't
here,
had air
so
conditioning at the
that's
house
right. Same deal
since
here.
June, early June.
Same deal here.
So I'm sorry if I'm freezing up. I should maybe wrap up then and turn it back over to Scott.
Okay.
But
All right.
I hope to be seeing a lot more of everybody soon. And
Yes.
It's good to be back on set.
Great. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks,
Thank
Scott.
you, man. All right. Okay. So up next is Maxi Falieres. He is I don't think I ever actually pronounce your last name exactly right. How do you pronounce it, Maxi?
It's like an Italian way, but it's Falieres. Like you say, but
Falieres.
Falieres,
Falieres. Okay.
Falieres, exactly.
Okay.
Well,
I'll have to practice that.
It's French, but here in Argentina we call it in Spanish way, so it's Falieres. So, but in French it's Falieres.
Oh,
But
it
the,
sounds great. Though. It
the
does.
vocals when you pronounce them, they are different that like you do in English. So that's
Yes.
why when you say it, it's different. That's okay. It's, everybody here in Argentina also they don't pronounce my last name very
What?
good because they call it me Talieres with a T because maybe it's where you wear
Talieres.
to your car, or Palieres with a P, that is a piece of the car, of the wheel,
Right.
and but that's okay. So they always say it, but even in the school, in the work, and everyone, in everywhere. So I'm okay. So okay, guys, thank you for inviting me. And well, it's been a long time that we've been here. I think a month and a half was our last GSP. So what I'm going to show you, of course, in this month and a half, I was been doing kind of things. I only went to Alberti one weekend. It was a really, really cold night that you were going to see in a couple of minutes. But anyway, I was practicing with my processing tools, with PixInsight, new tools, Forex palette, using the L Extreme filter, and also well, a lot of things that I'm going to talk about. But first of all, of course, the pictures, that's why you always are here. So let me share my screen. Okay, do you see it?
Beautiful. A beautiful eclipse.
You're going to prepare in a couple months for this.
Yes.
I hope you have a lot of solar flares to capture and watch it.
Very active. So you were here on with us earlier when David Levy was talking about how active the sun is. Counted something like 50 sunspots,
and you have the next year. Well, it's going to be
maximum.
more.
So it's not as hot now as it's going to be. Because my God, it's crazy.
Well, what I was doing practically was processing again some pictures that I've been capturing and practicing with this Forex tool, because it's working with this L Extreme filter is very different, like when you work with RGB pictures. So the final image that I will get, I was really happy to get this one, or in this case are with the Forex palette, and here are the RGB that I've been doing. But anyway, I have this from the Thor's Helmets Nebula. I remember the last one, I couldn't get a lot of information in the process on the background. But in this case, I had thin details on the processing, and I really love to capture this with the same data, because I didn't capture it. Now it's in the other side of the sun almost. But anyway, capturing this, it's amazing. Well, this is the Lobster Nebula that I was talking about more earlier with Michael. But I processed this yesterday. But anyway, you can start to see this. It's like fire, in this space, but it doesn't fire. It doesn't. It is fire. But anyway, this place of the core is impressive. To try to get a little details of what's around these stars. Then was this that I shared to David Eicher of the Pencil Nebula. This is a particular object that we have in the southern hemisphere, southern skies. When you capture this with RGB, you will only have to capture almost these brighting places only, but the rest is really, really difficult, and you will need a lot of nights, good nights, and taking pictures to have a really good data, of course, on the background. But anyway, with this processing tool, I was really, really happy of what I get. Well, I reprocess of the Eta Carina Nebula, principally the core, but in this case you have the Eta Carina star, where the finger of God is upside down. Well, a lot of box nebula, dark nebulas. This is an amazing place to capture, even with RGB or without it, without filters and everything. It's really, really good place to. I need also to watch it through a telescope. So, well, was the Dolphin Head Nebula. That is nearby of the Helmet Nebula of Thor. Then I captured this, that I was taking picture of 3 nights with this of the same area to get almost 200 pictures to stack. This is in the southern hemisphere, but it calls the Liberty Liberty Statue Nebula, like the New York City statue, because it has the perfect and shape of the Liberty statue place. But this is a really good place to capture, but it's really difficult with RGB, like the Pencil Nebula, and because you have all these brighting places, but the darkness or the darker places are really, really beautiful, and the shape of the colors. Let me put this away.
Spectacular, Maxi.
It's incredible, all these
Look at
places and the
that.
shapes of the nebulosity that has is amazing.
Wow, look at that. Look at those
And
big swooping arcs,
yeah,
That'd be awesome.
these arcs are amazing.
Yeah,
Even of course, I'm doing this with the RGB camera,
yeah,
but of course, if you have H alpha filters, O3 filters, and a monochrome, it will be much more better. But
right.
anyway, this place also really blows my mind. All the structures that you have on this particular core, really brighting, and when you go more outside, you will see all the perspective and the complete structure that has it nearby this one. And of course, we have darker nebulas that are really, really dense, and this I think is a little I don't know how we call this place, I don't remember, but it's like, to me, a little bug, like an escarabajo or something like that, like a cucaracha. I don't know how to say in English that insect, but
Yeah, cucaracha, that's it,
yeah,
cockroach.
cockroach,
The
like that.
cockroach of the universe.
Exactly. So, well, of course, I was practicing with the M16 nebula. I had this information, but in this case, I was practicing with 2 kind of process. One, taking pictures with RGB only and a filter of luminance only,
Mhm.
UV and IR cut filter, but also with the L-extreme filter. And then I try to combine them only with the stars and little shapes of the nebula that I get with the L-extreme. So honestly, I'm really happy with these results. I like these violet and pink colors that I could get,
Yeah.
but also all the structures that I have and the brighting stars are amazing. For example, to compare this, let me go more here.
Just so
Sorry.
you know, Harold Locke is watching your images on a big screen television.
Oh,
So he says they look awesome.
thank you, thank you. Well, if you compare this one, I have more details here in the pillars of the creation, but anyway, here, no, sorry, this is not a mask. I had to go there. I try to get more bright in this place, and well, I get lost of detail here in the core,
Mhm.
but I love to have all that brighting stars in well, in here you can see they are much more lightness than here. So anyway, I really enjoy it to capture this, and of course practicing. I am not a professional. I am only a rookie in this vast place called astrophotography. So, well, when I went to Alberti, I met with Germán Baccaro. We get only one weekend to Saturday night to Sunday evening. And, you know, I prepare my equipment. I was working with two equipments that night with my f4 8 inches telescope and the ASCAR lens above a Star Adventurer mount. This was at the afternoon when the sun was going down, and you can see it's not desert, but it was peaceful.
Mhm.
There was nobody, that only us. Um,
Was
I
uh, was Nico there?
No, Nico couldn't get because I
Oh,
think that's day he went to fishing, I think.
fishing.
Yeah, he has that another hobby that he likes to fish.
I fish too.
Uh,
I fish for stars and galaxies.
mhm. Well, sometimes he combined them. He went with his Dobson and go fishing, and well, this is the sunset that I could get with the Ascar.
Very nice.
But well, I let me go brief to the another day. You can see here, this is Germán, but this is on the day, on the sunrise, but you can see it's almost white on the grass.
Oh,
It was really, really cold,
that's cold.
really cold. I could take pictures of the grass and the
Yeah,
sun.
totally frozen grass.
Yeah, you can compare it here because you have the tree covering the grass,
Yeah.
and here's not. So now
Mhm.
it was really tough. Um, I don't remember where I put those pictures. Here, I think. Yeah, this is the top of my car.
Yeah, that's cold.
That's cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
Here we are with a selfie, and even of that cloth we feel really cold.
Yeah.
The window gets really white. Of course, I'm grateful that the cars start up.
Look
So
at
we,
the
we
sparkly telescope there. It's like got glitter on it.
it get frozen.
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
when I put the machine of the head to put a hot air of your head
Hmm.
to get dry,
Yeah, hair dryer.
air dryer.
Yeah.
I use this to melt this ice, and they went okay, but they start to get these little tinkles of water
Yes.
above this aluminum place, and they get frozen. It was almost like a lot of water frozen.
Oh
No,
my
no, it
God.
was incredible. No, it was really good, really frozen night.
Hmm.
Uh,
It's good
well,
for
that night,
imaging though. Good for cameras.
yes, of course, but not too much. Not too much. If you don't have protection, it gets tough. Well,
Ah.
that night I tried to capture some galaxies. Of course, that's what I'm doing, and I was capturing this of the Peacock galaxy. This is in the
Oh,
Peacock
it's beautiful.
constellation. This is an spiral galaxy that's if you watch this through a telescope, you will see the core and nothing more. But when you get with DCO cameras and everything, you will have a lot of data of these particular structures, and also these ones. They are really. I think this part is maybe part of the galaxy, and also this one maybe is a satellite galaxy. I don't know. I didn't research it, but there's a lot of galaxies here because I annotate this. Uh, you have a lot, like for example here. Well, here's another one. Well, and you can see in this one, for example, here they are almost PGC catalogs because they are really far away from us. Really, well, of course, this one is also, but they are much more away. And also, I capture again the Quartet of Grus, or Cuarteto de Grulla. That is a really good place to capture it. And I really love the colors that I get on the stars and the shape of the galaxy, and also the deep frames of the deep objects that I get here. I get this inspiration of, well, of course, Hubble telescope, but also the James Webb Space Telescope. And, watch this spiral galaxy floating, but looking at what they are in the background, these amazing galaxies, they are really far away. And there are a lot of clusters of galaxies. For example, here and also here. Well, sorry, they are, and I am only capturing this with a single gear, with a modest gear. I don't have a lot of information. I don't have a lot of details and everything, but anyway, you can capture.
Many galaxies. Look at that.
Now, look at the annotated image that I get. There's a lot,
There's a lot there.
and they are not taken. For example, in this one, they didn't catalog it yet, and a lot of galaxies they didn't catalog. For example, this one, and in only a single picture there are lots of stars, worlds, elements, life, everything in a single picture. You resume this, is when you start to think about it, it's going getting much more deeper. Well, for the pictures, this is the part that what I was doing. If you, I don't know if we have a couple minutes, but I want to share you my new gear. I went to a Dobsonian telescope
Oh.
also. This is an
Uh-huh.
8 inches f5, f6,
Like
sorry.
Nico. Yeah.
Like Nico, but a little more smaller.
Uh-huh.
But I was talking with my wife, and I say, this is a good time to buy it. This is in a good price. No, we have to buy another things. So I tried to convince her, and she said, "Okay, but that's it. No more, please."
Hmm.
So I buy it from a guy in Bragado. This is a city nearby from here in my where I live. So we went a Saturday, and I watch it, and I say, okay, this is in good condition. Everything's okay. Of course, you don't have to in this with the Dobsonian mount a lot of detail, but inside of the optical, it was of course dirty. You're going to see it now, but here is a friend, Ever, that he went now to Mar del Plata to live, but we watched, Saturn, stars, and try to see deep sky objects because the city is very difficult. But anyway, he loved to use it. Also, my father, Raúl, I say, Pa, vení, come here. Do you want to see Venus? Do you want to see the sun? So watch it. He sit on the chair, and he was blowing mind with seeing Venus at this time of the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to clean it. You can see
Yeah, a little dirty.
dirty fungus. Like,
Fungus. Oh yeah.
yeah, it have fungus, and these shapes. I don't know what happened there. So when you see it, it doesn't reflect too much. So I clean it, and this is what I get.
Ah, very
Uh,
nice.
I,
Everything gets brighter. Now,
brighter.
Maxi, a lot of people think that if the mirror is dirty, that the images are not sharp anymore. But that's not true.
No, that's not true.
They're
In the
still
F4.
sharp, but the contrast drops.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But it's recommend then to clean it sometimes, because maybe the same dirt it has in the mirror will produce that scratches, or that that don't reflect too much in the future, because damage that mirror, because you don't have anything that's metal of the mirror. But if you capture doing pictures of the dirty telescope, like you say, it will works. But in the passing of the months, of the years, if you don't clean it, it's going to be really damage to the mirror in per se.
Yes.
So when you can see here, it reflects a lot of the rooftop that
Mm-hmm.
here it doesn't.
Right.
No,
That
yeah,
usually
you
got
can
a
see,
lot brighter real quick.
yeah, but
Mhm.
I really like that it doesn't have scratches. It's
Yeah.
it's like a new one. So I was really happy for that. I resample it all again, try to watch it, and I'm
Sure.
really grateful. So, well, passing through this, want to talk what I was collaborating in this time. Here's the magazine Si Muove. This is a magazine from the planetary of the city of Buenos Aires
Oh.
that they publish every season, not every month. They publish every season. In this case, it was from the autumn of this year. So Diego Hernandez asked me if I want to share some pictures. I asked him what picture do you want, maybe what do you think, and he asked me if I had do you remember this Comet Green, the famous Comet Green, and some deep sky objects pictures. So I say, look at what I've been capturing and tell me, and you know, choice one. That's okay. There's no problem. So this is the magazine. They say, of course, the editorial staff, the collaborators, the thankfuls, and of course the summary. And in this case, they publish that the city of Buenos Aires Hall says that this magazine is of interest, educational and social interest. They declare this magazine, so we are very happy for that. And well, of course, we, like every Argentine, we love the details of the World Cup and of course the final. You can see here Dibu Martinez is he's the goalkeeper, and he is avoiding that Golo Muani makes a goal at the very final minutes. But they compare the position of that keeper of the Running Man Nebula, that you can see here. They are the arms and the legs like him. And you know, this is, I really love to this a really good conversation on in this case of what happened. And of course, they in a company from Mar del Plata, Innova Space, puts on space through SpaceX engines a satellite called Dibu Martinez. This is a really small satellite that they put in orbit that calls like the goalkeeper of Argentina. So what in this magazine, I contributed with this picture of the Clams galaxy. And this is the Caldwell HE3. This is a really good place to watch it through a telescope, and of course to capture it here. And also I collaborate with this one of the green comet, or bad colored green comet. But you know, I really love to capture this one because I had it in the right place at the right time, I remember. And another contribution that I've been doing, it was an invitation from Marcello Souza, that's going to talk in a couple of minutes more later, that he asked me to make an article of my experience through our two solar eclipses that occurred in Argentina a couple of years ago. One, it was 4 years ago, and the another one is going to be 3. So what I did was practically tell my preparation, my expectations, what happened, what was going on, what I feel, but in these two solar eclipses, but you know, like I say at the final, it doesn't matter what I say to you or what you read, what I tell you. You have to live it. That's all, you know. And of course, if you have the opportunity to watch even an annular eclipse or a total solar eclipse, do it. The rest, it's okay, but try to do it. So I'm really grateful, of course, with you, Scott and Marcelo, and everyone to invite me to collaborate in this case of my experience of and what I
Thank
was
you. Thank
doing.
you for participating. This is the link. I'm sharing it with the audience right now for Skies Up Magazine, and you can read Maxi's article as well as other great articles that are
Mhm.
contributed from astronomers from around the world. Skies Up Magazine is the free global astronomy magazine.
Well, thank you, Scott. And my last thing that I contributed was share my pictures to a child theater because they want to. They did obra in English. How to say it? A theater makeup. No, sorry, I don't know how to say in English. That it tells a story about a boy that, of course, it doesn't exist, but this boy passed a week with his aunt, and his aunt is passionate of astronomy. So she tells stories about the sky. She tells the stories about our region here in the southern hemisphere, in particularly in Argentina. Well, in this case, I collaborate with pictures of my deep sky objects that I captured. So they project this on the screen, and they, well,
Oh, that's cool.
she only does a monologue. You know, she talks only her. You know, it's an amazing actress, and they have music through the different scenes. In this case, here's the poster, and here I am that I collaborated, and they have musicians. They you know they did this for the children because we had 2 weeks of holidays for the children that they didn't went to school, and you know so they went to see this particularly uh, well I think that that's all for today.
Thank you,
I
Maxi.
I hope that you liked it. Sorry if I get a little more minutes, but you know we didn't have
You didn't have Global Star Party for 6 weeks,
yeah, so
right?
it was too much in a half an hour. So
Right. That's right. That was great. So thanks again, Maxi, and we'll be
my
looking forward to
pleasure,
next
guys.
week. Okay.
I hope to be there.
Me
Thank you.
too. Okay. Okay. So up next is someone that is loved around the world for his art, for his space art, his writings, and he's an extremely inspiring guy, Michael Carroll, and we're honored to have him on the Global Star Party. Thank you, Michael, for being here with us tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. Boy, Maxi, that Peacock Galaxy was spectacular. Wow. I just love the color. So let me see if I can successfully share my screen here. I do not see what I need. Let me get out of full screen.
Michael, I'm going to share you the link if you want to see it with more
Oh,
details here in the
yeah,
chat.
great.
And
Thank
of course,
you.
with the audience, I will post it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
send it on the. Oh, here it is. I'll send it. Here we go.
All
I
right.
see Cesar Brollo here in the audience.
Okay, let me try that again. Here we go.
What does your shirt say, Michael?
It says, "Stand back, I'm going to try science."
I love that. That's right, folks.
So, all right, let's see if I can start things off here. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, looks
Good.
Looks
All
great.
right. So good to be back to Global Star Party. We're at 124. That is awesome. I wanted to talk a bit about the things that fall from the sky, since we're doing Perseid things. Of course, the Earth has been pummeled from the very beginning. We get about 3,000 tons of micrometeorites a day falling on the planet. And it's been going on for a long time. This is a painting I just did for a book that's coming out in October called Planet Earth's Past and Present. And some of the stuff that is filtering down through our atmosphere from the Perseids, during the Perseids, may in fact harken back to this formative era, beautiful time in the early solar system. Of course, Perseids are from a specific comet, Swift-Tuttle. We talked a little bit about where all that comes from. They did a good job on that already. But most of that stuff is micrometeorites. It's dust or grain of sand size. Some things get a little bigger. This is Meteor Crater in Arizona. You can see the parking lot up toward the top of the image. And this is a very big hole. If it's big enough to make it to the ground, chances are it's going to make a crater. And it's kind of interesting to me what happens as a crater forms. A meteor comes down, or a comet or an asteroid, and it vaporizes the rock, but the layers of rock open up like the petals of a rose, like the petals of a flower, in such a way that as they spread out on top, you get a mirror image on the crater rim of the layers that are under the surface. And in fact, we see this at Meteor Crater in Arizona. You can see the layers of rock here that are beginning to bend toward the left of the image. So kind of cool thing that happens there. But how big was the rock that made this hole? Well, typically, a crater is created by something that's roughly 1/11 the diameter. So if we take 3 boxcars on a railroad track, that gives us about the diameter of 60 feet times 3 of the Allende meteorite, the big thing that came down and made that beautiful hole. Of course, there are lots and lots of things out there that would love to come and pummel our planet. These are all to scale. Each square on the tablecloth is a kilometer across. You can see Halley's comet nucleus in the background with sour cream and chives because it looks like a potato to me. But if we look down at Itokawa in the lower left, This is how big that asteroid, a big pile of rubble, would be compared to the CN Tower in Toronto. It's a big pile of rock, and it's been visited, of course, by the Japanese Hayabusa lander, which returned some very small samples, very treasure things that we are still studying. And here is one of those cosmic coincidences: Hayabusa and a pickle. Don't ask me why, but there you go. Something to think about. Then Hayabusa 2 from Japan went off to Ryugu, another asteroid. Look how rugged this place is. This is an approach image, and Hayabusa 2 was able to bring back a much larger sample. I'm going to see if we can connect to a quick little movie here. I think we'll have to skip an ad first.
Michael, I think you are sharing only the window of the presentation, so we can see when you open the link.
Yes.
Okay, so you cannot see the
Video.
No, you have to unshare the
You have
screen,
to share the video.
and then you share the video or on all the screen.
Okay, well, okay, got it. Let's see. Oops. All right, how do I? Let me see if I can get back to my keynote presentation here. Okay, sorry about that. Resume share. We'll go here and skip that. You've probably seen how those landers at Ryugu and later on at
says Osiris
yes.
Rex.
Osiris Rex was next after Ryugu, and both of those landed on these things, and as they touched down gently, they were just engulfed in tiny rocks. So they're just debris, piles of debris. This is an image I did to show how large Bennu is compared to the Empire State Building. So it gives you some interesting scale to look at there. Sample return is coming September 24th, as Scott mentioned in the opening. So that'll be pretty cool. And of course, there have been other things that were dramatically closer. Chelyabinsk in Russia came blobbing through the atmosphere and exploded above ground. Very exciting event that actually injured 1,500 people in a very remote region. But Chelyabinsk happened a day and a half before a close approach of another body called Duende. And this one we knew was coming. It had been spotted by a couple of observatories. And this is a comparison of Duende and Chelyabinsk, the different sizes you can see in the Heinz Stadium. So with all the damage from Chelyabinsk, imagine what Duende would have done. These things are big and they're flying around a lot, and we need to watch out for them. Comet Hartley 2, the nucleus, compared to the Eiffel Tower. Pretty dramatic. If we saw this one day, it would be a bad day, probably, certainly for Paris. And then Comet P67, here I compare it to Mount Fujiyama. So these I've tried to measure very carefully so that we can get a good idea of how these things scale to what we know with our own experience. So the bottom line is there are a lot of Earth-crossing bodies, asteroids, comets, things that that have the potential, at least, of coming close to the Earth. And so it's good for us to keep looking up at the sky, being amazed at things like the Perseids and the things that we are exploring with our spacecraft, but also keep looking up in case we can see something coming. So thank you very much to Scott and to Explore Scientific and the global
It's so fun.
community
Thank you,
that we
Michael.
are a part of. It's been very fun. Thank you.
Thank you. You are so nice. Thank you so much. Okay, we're just going to keep on going here. We have Adrian Bradley with us. And again, thanks, Michael. This has been
You bet.
artwork, and I look forward to seeing you back on next time.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Adrian Bradley, how are you, man?
Doing good. It's good to be back in Global Star Party.
Yeah.
But you know what? Alcon and other, that looked like a fantastic party that I just absolutely missed. And my
It was
priorities, as
fun.
I posted,
Yeah,
my
it was
priorities
fun.
need to change one way or another. So
Yeah.
I will need to attend more of these star parties.
Yes.
So I will, those of you out there that are watching, I will go ahead and share what I've been doing for the last couple months, at least the month of July. And I call this Smoke or Shine that's the title I just came up with. That's what I'm gonna go with. And it's gonna be an off the cuff sharing. So we'll start by just flipping through all these images that I went to do in July, and the last two images are of our waxing, I forget the name of the moon. I think it's a bloody moon, but I call it the smoke moon because
That was a lot of
that's
smoke.
exactly what it is. So I've actually downloaded this. I processed this. This was taken earlier in the night while we were doing outreach, and it had this color. As it got a little higher in the sky, I took another image, and this was with a spotting scope, and I happened to size these the same way. You could actually see the rotation the moon took as it rose from one spot to the southeast, a little bit higher to the southeast, and Tycho moves over. And also noting the little difference in detail. No matter what you do with a 600 millimeter lens, your detail looks decent till you zoom in. And this was on a tracker. I wasn't able to get it as sharp on the way down as I would like, but then with a MacCast spotting scope, I was able to go down. Now, there's noise here that I haven't gotten rid of, but along with the noise, you have some of the details from far out. It looks this way. So there's a refractor that I didn't bring with me that had I taken the picture with that, I may have been able to get away with a little bit better image. But
Good image.
you can see I was able to keep that orangish color that the smoke in our atmosphere. I'm in Michigan and I'm near the Canadian wildfires. So the smoke gives the moon a bit of an appearance as if it were as if it was an eclipse. And let's see, I have a couple other images, and here they are. This was as it was growing. So let's see what else is. So there's smoke in the air. So we went and did some bowling here, did some nature photography. So this is for the on the wing. As you know, I like to share some of my images that I've taken of things maybe non-astronomy related.
No, it's
And,
all astronomy related, Adrian. Everything is
That's right. Everything is
part of the
related to astronomy.
universe.
This is when there wasn't as much
Iron in the
smoke.
blood of that eagle comes from stars.
That is true. That is very true.
Mhm.
Thank you for that reminder. Everything is related to
Everything.
astronomy
That's the reason why they call it the universe. Yeah,
because it encompasses everything.
everything.
Yes. So early in the month, and that's why I like to actually, Scott,
That's
you hit
cool.
on
I
what,
like that.
yeah, I combine the things that are more commonly considered part of the universe with things on Earth, because things on Earth are a part of the universe also. So
That's
yeah, I
right.
should know.
You do know.
Yeah, that every picture you take is a picture of the universe, whether it is by day,
Yep.
which is this with people around and a whole lot of smoke. Working on my daytime landscapes here, this has been a site for a lot of night photography that I've done. This is one of these where I attempt to get a little detail during the day. But there's the sun, and the sun, of course, deserves some attention. So here in Canada, well, not here in Canada because I'm sitting at home in the United States, but I went to Canada and took a few pictures of a sunset. And so this illusion that's taking place, the size of the sun appearing to be a lot larger than life, due to the fact that these structures are distant. And it always fascinates me how big we can make the sun appear. Of course, it is absolutely large, but it never appears as large on the it doesn't appear as large in the sky, higher up than it does on the horizon as it's about to set. And part of the reason the illusion works is because we compare the disk of the sun to another distant object. In this case, I have a fairy that I had to try and time it so that some part of the sun would be behind the fairy. And I was able to go far enough down the beach that I was on. You see, this is sort of moved far enough down the beach so that I could catch the fairy sailing in front of that part of the disk of the sun. So it was a fun attempt. So this is the larger overall photo, and that's Lake Erie. So I was able to do that, and then it was off to Milky Way photography, but there was a lot of smoke. So here I was trying to edit out the streak of a plane that came across. You can see that this camera picked up the kind of the haze. There's a lot of smoke that's in our atmosphere, and actually today it is. And imaging can be tough because you've got this bright galactic core shining through the haze and smoke that's enveloping this part of the Earth, this part of Earth's atmosphere. In other areas, you have a free and clear sky, and it makes a huge difference. So you're looking here. This is another version, a 35 millimeter shot of the Milky Way as seen through a lot of smoke and haze. This is the butterfly cluster, Ptolemy's cluster, M8, M20, M22. Compare how little we're able to see. It's, as of that compared to a clear night when I was able to get a good shot. And now all of a sudden everything comes popping through along with this lighthouse. More dust lanes, less smoke in this area. Other photographer moving over here. I have another photo where I caught him standing still. Framing this part of the Milky Way with the lighthouse, and now all of a sudden M20 shows up. Whenever I get slightly stretched stars, that means that I pushed the image to the limit of my tracking may not have been as spot on as I would have liked. Let's see, right here, a very similar photo, a little more picturesque because not as much movement to clone out. You have the makings of Fugate here, and M4 shows up. You can actually see some of the shape of M4. There's the other globular cluster here, but my noise reduction may have wiped out detail. And that's the problem with noise reduction. It makes your overall image look good, but you lose some of the details. And as astronomers first, we tend to like details like M23 right here. You like to see that triangle shape that's in the middle of that cluster. This, I do not recall if it's M24 or M25. I think it's one or the other. And again, with the noise reduction, now there's some detail. You can kind of see the shape of M17. M16 is definitely, it's just a pixel representing where pillars of creation are. In a wide angle shot, there's only so much you'll get. The only way to really hone in on detail is to try something like a panorama. Oh, not a panorama. It's you stitch together a few images. So this one, I used an 85 millimeter lens, focused on mostly Milky Way, and used the lighthouse as a prop. But then when I dig in, look at the density of now look at the density of M6, the butterfly. You can see more stars because I used a wider angle. Now I've got some artifacts here. I'd love to figure out why these showed up, but I've also got rounder, denser stars. I do believe I think this is a star out of Sagittarius, which, yeah, this is one of Sagittarius's stars. Sagittarius is kind of blocked. But over here next to the lighthouse, M22, and there's almost some individual stars poking out there. And then another, I don't recall which globular cluster this is, but I know it's one that's near M22. It's a smaller one. Your detail coming in. This is, again, using an 85 millimeter lens and taking, I took 30-second shots, a little higher ISO, because things are moving. I wanted the entire image to show this part of the Milky Way and this part of the lighthouse, and I had to take enough images to fill all of that detail in. And so now if we come over here and look at M23, there's more of everything. Even M20, you can see dust lanes starting in M20. When you're doing wide photography, the larger your focal length and the more you put together, the absolute more detail. With the Sagittarius star cloud, now you've got some named LDN dust lanes here that don't always.
The lighthouse, though, that image is just wild. It's great.
Yep, the lighthouse, it is. If you saw how I saw it, a little bit blurry. So if I were to go back again, I would focus
M28, isn't it?
Which one?
The second glob, is it M28 or maybe not?
This second glob could be M28. Yeah. You may be right. This one is either M24 or M25 because there's another object right here.
Your star cloud is amazing. Look at that star cloud. Wow.
Yeah, the star cloud's got some detail in it.
That's crazy.
You can almost pick out NGC objects with this.
Yeah.
And then your detail here's your omega.
That's a lagoon? Or no, that's M17.
Yep, that's M17. Here's the lagoon.
What amazing color.
got
you-
some of the we
Yeah.
got some of the stars in the lagoon, and we got the shape of the Trifid and even the NGC object above it. The dust
Beautiful.
lanes here. And now here, it didn't quite resolve.
Is that the eagle?
That's the eagle. And
Yeah.
there's the these
That's
are the
the
pillars
pillar.
of creation here. These are the pillars.
Yeah,
But
I could
it's
see a baby
I
one.
didn't quite, as you notice, one of my the image I took here wasn't quite tracking how I would have liked. So the stars aren't quite as pinpoint
Right.
as they are when I get down.
You're outside the
Here.
center of the field a little bit by now, right?
Hey, Adrian. let me
Yeah.
ask you a question from the audience here.
Yeah.
Martin Telechia is watching on YouTube, and he wanted to know what tools you use for post-processing.
For processing, there's
Yeah.
two main tools I use. Lightroom Classic to stitch the photos, to stitch all those photos together and do some contrast moves. Photoshop, there's astronomy tools that do things like shrink the stars a little bit. They bring out nebulosity a little more. So things like the details in this Milky Way here, there's a routine called Enhanced DSO and Reduce Stars. I use that a lot.
These are
Northern
plugins
Hemisphere
for
shooters.
Photoshop, is that right?
Yep, in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Northern Hemisphere shooters, these are two targets that, they're faint here because they're closer to the horizon, but you see them for a little while.
You can
as
see
the
it's red.
rises. The cat's paw and the lobster claw nebulae. And if you are in a place where you can look even further, the prawn, these are nebula and clusters in Scorpion that are briefly, the whole Scorpion is briefly visible in the Northern Hemisphere as the Milky Way rises. It disappears as we get into the fall. So again, this sort of detail is a lot of fun to do, but in order to do it, stitching pictures together and then coming up, finally you have some of the light of M11. Looks like I went to, so with wide angle, well, here you go. You lose the precision. Once you go wide angle, no matter how sharp you try and make it. And this shows you what a composite can do. You can leave in. These trails are actually star trails from me focusing on the lighthouse, and I laid the image of the lighthouse and the surrounding star trails into the image.
Otherwise, you'll have a smeared background, right?
Yes.
And,
that none of this would be as sharp.
Right.
So this becomes the final image. The better you do that, the better your image becomes. And this is a case where, and it's something I'm still working on. At first glance,
that looks natural. That looks really good.
It looks really natural. But
blended.
when I move in here, it starts to break down. So composites are something to continue working on. And this looks and is natural. It's a 3-panel stitch, and it stood the tower upright and the tree next to it and gave the curvature of the Milky Way. So 3 shots facing here, facing straight at the tower, and then facing to the left of the tower. And one of the routines in Lightroom Classic stitches all 3 of these and makes everything upright. And the curve, it's more of a natural. There was somebody else images over here, so there's some red light. It looks the way you would if you were standing with your back to the water looking at that lighthouse. And that's pretty much the scene. When I do a panorama, I don't spend as much time with the images. I'll do 30 seconds each at a higher ISO, because I want the overall image to be able to mesh together like this. And as of yet, the only way I've been able to do that is 30 seconds at a time. I can, with some tracking, I can get an image, and I may not get as much detail as I'd like. You see the details here compared to that other image I had.
Right.
You barely see any details. Sometimes I'm just shooting for the overall picture to have a certain look. And I could have gotten rid of this. I wanted to. The overall picture, I want a certain look. And when I do this, I don't have to do a composite. So this becomes a natural shot. No changes. The goal is to make your images look as natural as you can make them without, we got a little bit closer here.
And that's really good for getting the lighthouse and the background of, blended with the shot, because they're so different in brightness. It really plays havoc.
Right. And the way that I do that is each shot is done with the exact same time, same settings, because it will, if you shoot the Milky Way 2 minutes at a certain level, the lighthouse turns out a certain way. In processing, and this was a composite, there's stars in the mast. So it's always, there's always a work in progress to get the composites to look.
That's the beauty of digital. You can work for the rest of your life on it,
Yeah, and you get closer and closer and closer. Because my goal is always to get good detail.
That is brilliant.
Wow. Yeah, now this was shot with a little less of it. It's like a 35 millimeter lens. So you see the area where the cat's paw and the lobster claw didn't quite turn out as much, but a lot of other features did turn out, including the little globular cluster here. They become dots. With noise reduction, you lose a little bit of detail. But like you see these dust lane, these LDN objects, dark lanes, dark.
Yeah, you have some globules in there. You can see them to the left. There's a couple. Yeah, I think stars are being born in those little tendrils.
Very likely.
That is really
noise reduction will, you can't even see pillars here. So, the more light and the larger, and this is probably a good time to close. There's other images here. Real quick, how much moonlight can you still get a Milky Way image?
Yeah.
You can aim up at Cygnus. You can barely get it with a 3/4 moon to my right, and these clouds are coming in to swallow it. So cool. This is just a single image, no attempt to, take the cloud photo and do a composite. It was just easier to.
It gives it emotion.
Without wind, it meant that the
tree
didn't move so much. Beautiful. So, that becomes a little more believable. And here, so first I'm going to show you this image.
Oh man, is that a moon bow?
That's a moon bow.
Oh man,
that's cool.
There's a moon bow. You can't see those colors naked eye, but
no
camera on it. And as you can see, the stars are trailing because I simply wanted to expose for whatever that light was that I was looking at behind me. So I've got some cars that were coming by and this light all from this. So this is the other side of where I was standing, and this moon was bright.
That's gorgeous.
And so turning around, let's see if that works. Yeah, there were a lot of clouds coming in. So, turning around, there's the other side of that park. I don't know how the moon bow would turn out if it's distant enough. If I track for 30 seconds, and I don't know how long I tracked. I may have been able to get both sharper stars and the moon bow. This, I think it's faint, but
I mean, how many times
wiped it out? Might have been another moon bow starting to.
It looks like it was. You had a double.
Yeah,
I can see it for sure.
Yep, barely another one. So, we had lots of rain in our area, and that's obviously a distant rainstorm, or just a lot of distant rain over sea, and that surprised me. It made it worth taking the trip out there that night.
Those are big lakes too. They're like,
they're seas.
Really,
it's seas. So smoke, for those of you who are watching that are in the northern hemisphere, the difference between this image and the difference between that and this image, same equipment, same gear, lots of smoke. This was a better composite job. The trees, the way they look here, same view, but this is what happens. And as you can see, I actually nailed the focus on this pretty good. So this image, now granted, this is not at as dark a location, so that plays a role too, but that is the difference between when you have a lot of smoke and things going on in the atmosphere versus when you have a free and clear atmosphere. So all of those images you see of the Milky Way, there's a number of different ways to do it. The larger your focal length, that 85 millimeter lens that you like to use for portraits, point it at the Milky Way and take sections and stitch them together. You'll get good detail that way. But if you're in a pinch and you just want the entire area, go ahead and take a photo. Tracking and composites are a must. The more time you put in the sky, the more you're going to get out. And,
is Lightroom part of Photoshop Suite? So when you buy
it's Adobe. Adobe is the company, and Photoshop, of course, has been out forever. Lightroom Classic has been getting better and better at having automatic routines to do certain things. Masking has now become easy. I mask the sky and the and I'm not showing anybody here because I don't have sharing going on, but you can mask the sky and you can mask the ground separately by simply selecting masking. And this is probably worth it, Scott, before I go.
Okay.
Those of you who like to do your processing, let's go look for something that I've shot at recently. Maybe I'll find a Milky Way photo. It does panoramas a lot more. Let's see.
So you're getting like 180 degrees almost.
Yeah, and that's here. We can go back to this date.
That's pretty good how you developed that one.
Yeah. Okay, so we're back to the dates where I did some processing. So this one.
Yeah.
Where somebody just blared me out. They were heading towards me and they shined a bright light. You still have a bit of Milky Way here. And you might wonder, if I had to try and fix this image, what would I do? Well, one, try dropping the highlights. And then two, this masking, I can select sky and see what happens.
What about like
another thing? Yeah, somebody basically, he's an imager and he has the brightest light I've ever seen. Notice how the sky is now masked.
Red.
This used to be something someone had to select painstakingly and work with, and now you don't have to. So now you can work with your, you can work with just your sky. You can try to pull, you can do a bit of a logarithmic stretch if you want, or you don't have to. You can darken your sky, and then you can come in, you can add texture, which adds more stars. Clarity tends to bring more of the detail, the Milky Way out, and then dehaze will darken. Of course, there's like a purplish, but I'll take care of that in a minute.
Yeah, you got stars. You got individual stars.
Yep, I got stars now. And then I can come here, I can invert it, and now I've got the ground. So what do I, usually all I do with the ground is raise the shadow a bit. And now you're seeing more detail. Then there's the lake right here. This was the effect of the beach, the sand, and this light coming at me. So I can
you'll have to
yep.
have a,
so it's
program
making
where you
some
show
of
your more advanced image processing sometime.
Yep, this is, and I know it's not quite the right colors, but that'll be my surprise for the end. So here you have an image. I've processed the bottom part, the land. I've processed the sky differently. So I come over here, and now I go to this conversion, because this was shot with a Canon 6D, and now you have a more natural looking color. I figured out
those weren't composite. That was one shot.
This was one shot.
Okay, that's really
and I figured out a setting to put natural colors. If you've modified your camera for hydrogen alpha only, there are settings like your temperature goes here, your tint goes here. You can lift shadows if you want to add that, add clarity and dehazing if you want. I think I did that. But the key is this, the temperature and the tint.
Right, you have to bring it back to a blue.
Yes.
A cool.
Yep, and that's exactly what that does. And now you've got an accurate photo.
That's amazing.
And that's how I processed all of the images. From this image where he didn't blow me out here, I processed it this way.
Wow.
I even have this image that I haven't processed yet. Very first thing you do, now you've got a truer color of what you're seeing. The H alpha regions still stick out. And from there, you can go on with your processing, straighten this out if you want. Over here, this is another image. This is one of the images, and it's a shame. Okay, there was something going on here. This is the image where I just took it of the sky, and you see what happens with the tower. So when you combine them, you lay in, when I took the image with just this tower. Let's see if it's somewhere around here. It might be. Okay, so here's the image with just one of the images I had with just the tower. You see how sharp the tower is. You see
the star
drag, and you see everything's so it's combining those images that produces the final total image. If you get lucky enough. So this was a different image that I took somewhere around here, and and then the sky. So
literally, you're stopping it and getting all that light. It's amazing.
Yeah, and the other thing that I find important, I like to take my images back to back. You can come in the blue hour if you want, so that this is brighter. As it turns out, I can probably really quickly do this. You can, to get the brightness of your foreground object, you can invert and then raise shadows on your foreground object, and now you see it more like your eyes see it.
And you're in
this, this was a
guys, we need to transition at this point.
Okay, so
we're pushing
stop
everybody
here.
back. So.
Yep. All righty. So there.
That is really
want
interesting.
to know some of the process you now see.
Yeah. That was amazing.
All righty.
We could go on that all day. So it's really
Adrian.
Very powerful, and you should do a segment just on that next time. So that's really cool.
Just focus maybe that's what I'll do. Focus the segment on one image.
Yep.
One day. So
Adrian, thank you, man. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Okay, take care. Okay, so up next is we go down to Brazil, and with Professor Marcello Souza, who is the senior editor of Skies Up magazine. That's just one of the things that he does. He is an amazing force of astronomy outreach in South America. And he's pioneered many educational programs down there, including getting students making CubeSats, getting his astronomy club now that he's worked on for decades, and his television programs. He is really just an amazing figure down there, and we're so happy to have him involved with Global Star Party and Skies Up magazine, and he's even been up here. He's made trips up to USA to give presentations and talks. He's even been to Explore Scientific, so it's very nice. And he's a great friend. Marcello, thank you for coming on to Global Star Party.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you very much. It's very nice to see all of you after the holidays here in Brazil. We have winter holidays also here. It's a short period, 15 days, but we have holidays during the winter here in schools. And now, in this period, we developed new projects. And I will show some of the results that we obtained. And I will share the screen here. We are participating now since after March 20 of this year. We are participating in projects that allow us to access the Las Cumbres Observatory, the telescopes of Las Cumbres Observatory. Then we are involved in a project that is called Global Sky Clubs, that allow astronomy clubs to take images using one of the telescopes, and we can involve students to take these images. And I will show the first image that we took. That is this. Sorry, it is one from M22. We begin working. We are working now with our group to take images from the Meteor catalog. And then the first one was this, the M22. And then we try new images. And this one is M83.
Wow.
With an exposure time of 45 seconds. All these two images was with a telescope with 40 centimeters. But then we tried images with a bigger telescope. That's 1 meter. Then we took this image here from M57.
Oh, yeah.
And then from M51, then it's another project that we are involved, that is the Falks telescope project, that also uses the Las Cumbres Observatory. And this is M51. Then we begin to make the edition of the images. We took images in different filters, 3 different filters, and try to make a colored image. And then we had this image with this edition of the image. Then we are working now with this project, Focus Telescope project. And also we are involved in a group that also uses Lacombe's observatory, that is a comet chasers, that looking for images of comets. And we took this image, that was a fantastic image that for us, that we use a 2-meter telescope to take the image of comet 12P after the outburst. And this was the best image we got. That is amazing of these comets. For me, it was a great experience, and it is also a fantastic experience to be involved with this group that is analyzing comets. And the image of these comets shows some important informations to know what's happening with these objects. And today, a few minutes ago, I was in an event in a public place here. We were observing the moon, the full moon. And these are the images of the event. Today, a few minutes ago, that I was there. We stayed there for almost 2 hours and a half in the main public square of the city. And many people was there. You see that you have many lights there. It's down, we were in the main square, public square of the city, and many people participate in the observation of the moon today. We were trying to find the Saturn, but it wasn't possible because you have so many lights and the light of the full moon, and the clouds in the sky, then in direction of the Saturn, then it wasn't possible to see Saturn. But now is beginning a special moment for the observation of Saturn that we are going to see in few weeks in the beginning of the night. Then we are planning now special events for this observation of Saturn, public observation of Saturn. Here you see a lot of people that participate today. And in July, now we have a Dark Sky chapter, official Dark Sky chapter here in Brazil. That is this one, Dark Sky Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, great.
And the director of the Dark Sky Rio de Janeiro is the first Brazilian Dark Sky chapter that is here in our city. And we have now a partnership with the Dark Sky of Argentina, that is chapter of Argentina, and also with Astrotourism group in Uruguay. And we are working together, and for us, we consider July as the month of the astrotourism here in our three countries. Then we organize many activities of astrotourism, and also we try to find dark sky places here to develop activities. This was one of the activities. We received many lights, but this is a hotel located in a very dark place. Here we are looking for hotels, public parks, and public squares located far from downtown to make a map of place where you can see you have dark skies. Then we begin to do this here. Here is a place near the ocean that is a reserve, forest reserve with plants that you only see near the ocean here. And here is the place. And maybe it will be the next dark sky place here in Brazil. We have only one here, that is Dark Sky Park. That's the first one in Latin America. That's near us. And we also organize activities in 5 different cities in the spirit to celebrate the month of astrotourism, that was July. And a lot of people participate in these events.
That's great.
ever we are looking for places that we can also make astrotourism activities. You see, have many people that participate in these events. And now the good news is that here we have 10 nucleus, 10 different nucleus in 11, having 11 seats that now we have a nucleus of our astronomy club and also a nucleus of the Dark Sky Rio de Janeiro. And in all these places, we found dark sky place, and we are going to develop teaching and outreach activities and also astrotourism activities.
How exciting.
We have 10 nucleus, and we are planning to have more 10 nucleus. Then until the end of October, we will have 20 places, 20 different seats with nucleus of our astronomy club and the nucleus of the Dark Sky Rio de Janeiro here. Then it is growing fast here because of the success of the first Dark Sky Park in Latin America that is located near us. Then I think that the astrourism here, many people is looking for places with few artificial lighting to see the sky. Then it motivates many people to join. And we are also making projects and organize activities for the partial eclipse of the sun, partial solar eclipse here. For us, it will be partial, not annular eclipse. Then we have many classes that we received from Stephen Hamsley, and we organize activities of solar observation in the beginning of October, we will begin to give the classes for the population, and we hope that in October 14, we have clear skies during the period of the partial eclipse, and we can see from here. These are the activities here that we organize in this period, and we are very motivated with these groups that are involved with us now. And one of the most important is the launch of the Skies App magazine, the new edition. I have here, I close here, I share now the magazine here. That is a fantastic edition.
Yeah,
that you have a lot of information about the eclipse.
Yeah, including Maxi's article about two eclipses and
yes,
Marcello's articles as well.
And here is the magazine. I'll try to show here quickly. Here's the first one, second. Then you have your article here, also in Portuguese for the Brazilians. And here I have images of historical images of the eclipses. I have the article from Pierre Paquette about the dark age of astronomy. That's historical articles. Here is a reserve near us. That is a special place that they are preserving the dark sky. Here is in the north region of Brazil. You have this state that is Ceará, that they have two planetariums and they are building the third planetarium, and it is a place where it will be possible to see the annular eclipse. They are organizing special activities for the annular eclipse. Now, an article from David Prosper from the NASA Night Sky Network about the eclipse. Another the article from Max about his experience in Chulo solar eclipse in Argentina. And now a special section about the eclipses with maps, with all the information. If someone wants to know, have information about the eclipse, you have here. And I have something that's fantastic, Scott, that I don't know if you already talk about this today. That is this place that you put here in the magazine, that the crossroads of the eclipse expedition. This is something fantastic, né? That you have a place that you can see two eclipses, né? 2023 and 2024 in United States is this, né?
Thank you, Marcello.
This is fantastic here, something fantastic. Né? Here is an article from Hélio Vital, that is the most famous Brazilian expert in lunar eclipses, about the lunar eclipses. And you have information about the solar eclipse, information about the lunar eclipses. You know what's happening in Colombia also. That is a fantastic magazine. And you have two articles from John Goldsmith from Australia. The fantastic articles from him. That is a wonderful magazine. That thank you very much, Scott. It's a fantastic magazine. Tracy also made a fantastic work to make the layout of a magazine that's very beautiful. And it's a free magazine. Everybody can download, can read the magazine, and I recommend for everyone to look at the magazine. Thank you very much, Scott. It's a great pleasure to be here. No? I think that soon we'll have good news from Brazil. We are working hard here to develop new activities and to organize here the observation of the solar eclipse in October. Nice to see all of you. Thank you very much, Scott. You are mute.
Scott, I think you're on mute with one of your.
Right, you're right.
Yep.
That's right. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Adrian.
No problem.
Our next speaker is Cesar Brollo, and Cesar is with us down in Argentina. Cesar, are you available? There he is.
Now, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yeah, I'm chatting away in the dead space.
Yeah. This is the sky.
Few clouds, yeah.
Just a little cloudy, but
yes.
I have. Let me share a screen with my Nina software.
Okay.
And you can see now. Take passion, because now you are watching a cloud. Let me. Okay. Well, now the green flash that you can see is the light over the cloud, but behind the clouds, maybe in a few minutes, you can see between the clouds Omega Centauri cluster. This is a live image. While we are expecting to see something in the sky, let me check if we are lucky with this. I can show you a picture that I took last week. We can try one more. I taking pictures, only pictures of try pictures, only to regulate the exposition with the software. And of course that I don't save any picture because I have now a lot of clouds in the sky. Normally here I have the number of exposition. Now I try only with very short exposition of only 10 seconds. And again, well, here you can see the cluster. but if we are lucky, maybe we can get a picture between the clouds, but we are not lucky now. Maybe now, yes, here. And I took here you have the omega cluster image with the stars, but of course that you can see in the scale the clouds, and when I have clouds now you can see better the cluster, and maybe the next one it will be a good one. No, I don't know. I'm sorry, but this is the kind of the live image. Tonight, I'm not lucky with the sky. A few minutes ago, the clouds coming from the west south, and well, maybe now you can see the cluster, and here you can see the stars. Many times I show you in live image or maybe image from a processed final image, but this is pictures that the telescope are taking now, and wow. the level of different brights is between the position and the gain is make this weird effects, special effects between the bright of the cloud and the cluster, and this is why you can see all time changing the bright of the cluster. But it's you know, sometimes it's all experiment. Yes, it's sometimes you can see in another one picture not, but while we are expecting an area open between a cloud and another cloud, a small part of open area. I'll show you. Look that! Wow! I'll show you another one picture that I took 2 weeks ago. Let me share.
Wow, you can see the clouds moving in your background.
Yes, absolutely. And now, unfortunately, the clouds coming in a lot. Well,
there's a good hole coming. You might be able to get it. There's a clear spot your lens is going to come into.
Yes, John. Yes. And the quality of my new telescope is a Explorer Scientific 80 apochromatic. Yes, finally, Scott. Finally,
wow,
I get one for me over the Yaxus 100, and I'm really happy. I'm using the Sibony. Say yes. Yes. Let me. I can show you again.
And from what I was seeing, that looked really good, even through the clouds. It was amazing.
Yeah. Now I think that is better.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's yeah, that's looking good.
There it is.
Yes. And
right? Even
sorry that this is a little.
You're shooting through clouds. I mean, it's amazing.
Yes, it's not easy. And the guy there, yes, and sometimes the guy they're confusing when lost the star for guiding, and some pictures, of course, that have a little movement. Maybe in this case, it's much better stop the guiding, but you know, well, it's all is a is something that in astronomy that especially from the city that in the
But it's
15 minutes
possible.
ago.
It is absolutely
Yes,
possible.
absolutely. I had clear sky at near to 9 o'clock p.m. And now, well, the Maxi told me that the clouds coming from Chivilcoy. I when I read that Maxi told us that okay, the clouds are here. Of course, that 1 hour later the clouds are in Buenos Aires. But I had an excellent function with Nina with the Exos 100. All work properly despite the clouds. Of course, I'll trying to show you pictures. For example, let me.
You know what that means? That means that's a very good telescope. Because
yes,
when you get a good scope, you can't shoot because the weather won't cooperate.
Absolutely, it's so small. So it's a telescope that it's a dream for me because I get all the week assembled in the living room. I don't need assembled anything. I use it my another Richie Gretier 8 inches telescope with a heavy mount, and I need to carry all to the rooftop of the building. I need 1 hour to adjust everything in a good position. Now it's a setup of 50 minutes. It's nothing. Maybe I can try again. I see less. I can see less. I am man of faith. Or fight for no, it's the same because it's you can see the clouds. Yes. I don't have it. For example, tonight it's impossible have pictures lives to calibrate and stacks, but it's fun if you have your scope. You can see with an eyepiece, or you can enjoy some in the time that where you can see something. But normally you have a clear sky and you have fun. For example, I took last 2 weeks ago this picture with the same telescope, but with a reflex camera. And I share screen here. This one.
Oh, nice.
My first live with this
That's
telescope.
That's from your patio? From your patio?
Yes.
Wow.
Because I only take the pictures of objects that came in this line, because here you have the west, and Sagittario is falling in this part of the sky 3 o'clock a.m. And this one was an excellent. First of all, I was how do you say? I wasn't confident with my polar alignment, because I make a roughly polar alignment, and I say it's not okay. And I prefer make in the Nico the Hammer system of only, in my case, 5 seconds, 5 seconds each light, and I use around 180 lights with a CLS Explore Scientific filter, and really work properly, because come on, here is 9.3 the number of the Barth scale. It's really too it's really bright. Yeah. It's really bright. You can see the low altitude clouds in like you are here. You understand that it's so bright the sky. Sure, but the details. I used my reflex camera. Maybe it was a little noisy image, but I really happy with the details. The quality of my polar alignment make a little star tray, not around stars that I like, but was a great first light that I really enjoy it to make something so, you know, where you can enjoy the something that really you make in a place where it's a balcony in the middle of the city, and really it's a beautiful nebula to show, and really was something for me very
rewarding.
Yes, a word. Yes, rewarding. Rewarding is the word. Thank you, Sean. And yes, it's when you feel something that you can reward yourself and say, "Great." Really,
it's beautiful too. It's a beautiful.
Sure.
The reds, the hydrogen, and the detail around
the Bortle scale is 9.3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we have
the scale go to 9.
This is a
there we are.
9.3 is crazy. Yeah.
Yes, live image, guys. Live image.
There you
Enjoy the time between
the
and
cloud.
Yes. You can see. Yes. If I'll move a little, maybe I move the picture. It's so real. Actually,
you did it.
I have a wood floor, you know, a deck. Actually, when I took pictures, I leave from the balcony, and normally I use I hear the cloud return. Yes, and actually I leave the telescope alone to don't move the floor. But of course that you can see that I make a huge zoom between in the pictures. But despite this, it's really enjoyable place to make astronomy.
Yes.
Really, you know, it's something to share.
A powerful tool for sharing. Like that cluster, when it's clear, that's a beautiful, amazing picture to see through that. And, you know, it's a lot of people can see it at once. It's amazing.
Absolutely, John. Absolutely. I agree with you. Yes. And you can see how the clouds are moving.
Beautiful.
Yes, from the west.
Yes.
You got the moonlight too. You can see the moons out because they're pale blue.
You have now in this direction the moon, and the moon are illuminate the clouds, but I sure that the light pollution is making more light than the moon in the moon, the full moon. Yes, John.
In my background, we have a full moon here at Wilson tonight, but the stars are really good.
Yes. Yes.
And your orange disappears.
Let me show you this telescope. It's a beauty. I mean, now I know why Edwin Hubble was using this. It's one of those nights. I think Ed would make it with me tonight.
Absolutely.
In spirit.
Yes. Yeah. I hope that next year I'm going. Surely I'll go to meet with the group, but in a real place to watch together the eclipse in the official Explore Scientific place. I don't know where it is exactly, but I'm going to take my tickets because I am waiting that I expect that the entire group of Global Star Party, we are together in a real live together presentation.
You're coming out. You're going to be there.
Yes.
If you're coming, I have to be there now.
Yes, of course. Not this year, but next year.
2024.
Yes. 2024. I'll go for my tickets, my passport, and my visa. Yes.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yes.
All right.
It's
Cesar,
the calling. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are here with only half of John Schwartz. Your head's being chopped off just a little bit.
Here, let me.
There you go. Okay, there you are. Yeah, you lowered.
You know, it's hard. It's tight in here.
I make the same, Sean, in this part of.
I'm running out of room. You know, my shoulders. I've been
your
carrying
massive shoulders, but they were like disappearing back into the cosmos. I don't know how that happened.
Sorry, it's all camera settings. It's been a while since I've been on.
That's right. Okay.
But anyway, so
John, what have you been up to? I mean, it's been 6 weeks. You're helping us wrap up the 124th Global Star Party, which is great. And so what's been going on?
You know, the moon a little bit, but it's been real hot. It's been extremely hot lately.
Oh my goodness.
So
yes, it has.
There's been some good views. When it's warmer, for whatever reason, it seems to give you a better view.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been good. And I've worked on our outdoor entertainment center, Happy Wife, Happy Life. You know, we were getting that all put together.
Sure.
And feeding squirrels. Now we have squirrels and rabbits in our backyard that come and visit. So it's amazing. A lot of fun. Okay. So I could get us started. I have my
it's all yours.
Photos ready. I'm going to just highlight. So how's everything going with you? I know you've been extremely busy as well.
Yeah, just fine. You know, we finished up a bunch of work. We completely redid our warehouse is what we did. And so that was a lot of work and, you know, but needed to be done. So
they're just kind of random. This is my latest creation. Now, there's a little story behind it. The picture of the moon is actually taken using a cell phone snapshot that I took through the 6-inch Explore Scientific triplet carbon fiber APO, which is one of my most amazing instruments. So I did that moon and I was able to, you know, put it in this beautiful Milky Way scene as if you were out in space and you could see the moon from a different perspective, you know. Not as blinding, but maybe a little bit from the dark side, you could see the Milky Way shining bright. So it's more of a concept. Of course, this is me at Mount Wilson at the 60-inch. This is a piece I've recently created. So I almost walked into this spider. It's a orb spider. And I was walking out, but I didn't.
It's a big spider.
I didn't want my dog to get eaten by the coyotes because we have a lot of, you know, stuff coming in the backyard now. So I was looking at Ursa Major and I was stunned at how good it looked. And I almost walked into that spider. So very, very happy that I didn't. This is one I recently completed of the blue snowball. It's a planetary nebula. And I posted this one on cloudy nights. This is looking through a 32-inch telescope and a 28-inch. Gives you an idea of what you can see. Of course, there's my little buddy. He's always looking for me.
Aw.
Bosco.
Bosco.
This is my latest Orion. So this is the actual close-up of my Orion, the trapezium. So I've really been working on this image for probably 2 or 3 years now. I'm getting closer. So, you know, when you look through the telescope with magnification, that's what you would see. Here's a wide field view. Basically, same view, just wider. But, you know, capturing the color and the light, it's hard to get that exact. So it's like Adrian said, always work in progress. This is the Moon, Venus, and Mars conjunction.
So yeah.
We had the conjunction. So here I had the moon. It was, you know, starting to set. So you were getting a little bit of atmosphere. So it was turning orange, just starting to turn kind of orange. But the earth shine was there. And that's our beautiful blue oceans reflecting light back to the dark side of the moon. That's what earth shine. Then I was using Leica binoculars. This is amazing how Venus looked like that in the Leicas. It had diffraction spikes, which told me what fine optics those are. And Venus was brilliant by comparison. And then, of course, Mars, you can see in the corner, it's very small, but had a slight color. So that's about all you got out of it.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, it's a big event, these conjunctions. When we did the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction, that was a real big event, you know. And how about the Mars, the moon occulting Mars? That was a wonderful one. This is in progress. So the seeing to date that I've been working on this hasn't been as good as I'd like it. But this is actually M13 globular cluster. It's a sketch I'm working on. Now, if you look close,
wow,
you'll
that
see
looks
what
photographic.
Yeah, what happens is when the seeing's bad and you're powered up, you get this weird thing. It looks like worms. They turn into worms. So I kind of was starting to do that in my sketch. As I get better views, I'll come back with more contrasty, you know, lighter star points that I'll add to that. And but right now I couldn't see that good because the seeing wasn't excellent. But I call them worms. You ever notice that before? Or the globular?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of friends say they've seen that. M13. Of course, Wilson.
You call them worms?
Well, they look like worms to me.
You're right.
I mean, I guess you could call them what? Squiggles or threads.
Squiggles,
yeah.
Threads.
They connect together was what I'm saying.
Snakes? How about
snakes?
snakes?
Yeah, snakes on a plane. Snakes on a spaceship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I know, it's just a weird phrase. I was talking to my friend Andrew, and we were both saying, you know, have you ever noticed that they get these little squiggly lines? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, they're worms.
Our mind makes shapes out of everything. I mean, we see, you know, dogs and clouds and, you know, whatever, you know.
That's what Salvador Dali, you know, he used.
Burnt toast. I mean, you know, yeah, right. You're right.
Yeah,
so,
it's.
I know you know very much about this as an artist, so.
Well, I do put hidden content in some of my works, you know.
Okay.
I do on the moon shots. I've been putting Bosco in, you know, because he's always there when I want to do my moon stuff. He's right there, like saying, "Why? I'm here. You need to pay attention."
To me, exactly.
Yes. You know, what are good friends for? You know, you can't argue with that.
That's right. The best friends. Man,
yeah. He is just whatever I'm doing. We're getting ready to go to Mount Pinos, and I'll show you guys some great pictures when we get back. Okay. But he goes up there and he loves, you know, being up at the mountain. Everybody has friends too, little friends. So we get to meet them, and it's a lot of fun. This is the Eskimo Nebula sketch I'm working on. And
That's excellent. I mean, that looks so authentic to
thank you.
Like, you know, I mean,
3 telescopes, the 60-inch, the 28, and the 32-inch. So most recently, it's the 60-inch detail that I've tried to add what I was kind of seeing, you know?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was
yeah, really super good.
Looking through that telescope at Planetary Nebula there's probably no better scope to do that with, just because of the way you see it in there. It's amazing. I've never seen it like any better, although I should go to the 200-inch. Maybe it'll show up.
No, I think that the 60-inch actually visually is a better instrument.
Wow.
You know, and I was told that by many people.
Really?
And then I had an opportunity. I used to have keys to Mount Wilson and used to take care of one of the smaller telescopes, and so you get invited to go look through the telescopes a lot, you know, and yeah, the exit pupil, the natural exit pupil comes out of the 100-inch is so huge, you know, that it's difficult to really get an eyeful, you know, whereas the 60-inch, you know, the natural exit pupil of that instrument is much smaller. Not as small as like an amateur instrument, but probably the largest, you know, telescope visual instruments that you probably could use where it was really effective, you know, is probably in that 60 to 70-inch range.
That's why those planetaries look so good. I mean, you know, we've seen views that you just don't get to see too often, which is really, really a great thing. And going to that observatory, it's enchanted for me when you go up there.
You're right about that.
There's a feeling
everybody feels it when they go there.
Special place. It just has that feeling of discovery, you know?
Yes.
So this was a picture I was working on called The Moon in an Ocean of Clouds, which was the weirdest thing because I'm looking through my Leica binoculars. They're very sharp. And I see these clouds. They're like dissolving, but they're still faint enough to where I could see them moving across the moon, much like Caesar's tonight. It's very similar. Mm-hmm. And so I captured this, you know, there was a little hole. I just kind of, you know, made the hole a little bigger, what I was seeing. And I just painted the moon in the clouds, in the ocean of clouds. So it has a pretty cool feel for me. It's kind of an artistic piece for me. This was my friend, I made this for him. He sent me the picture of the owl. And that's Andrew from Cloudy Nights. He's an artist and a sketch artist. I'm trying to get him to come on. And so he sends me the picture, and it's at the beach down in San Pedro. This owl is waiting for the moon to go down, or the sun. And that's Venus. That's actually Venus right there.
Nice.
And it's sitting in the tree waiting for this darkness so it can start hunting. And it's, you know, the ocean is in front of him. So it's a really very nice sunset too. I kind of took the color out, but what I was doing was making this his handle on Cloudy Nights is Night Owl 99. I'm not sure what the 99 is. Could it be his birth year? But so I turned that bush into 99, giving him, you know, a profile picture potentially.
Yeah.
So he really liked it. And it was made from his picture. But I thought it was interesting. This was actually done with the 6-inch. This is just
that looks like a photograph again.
That 6-inch, dude, is the sharpest thing that in the triplet with the carbon fiber, the way it cools down the feather. I mean, dude, what better scope could I have to do my lunar and planet? And that's what I wanted. I had these in order. This was supposed to go with that moon shot. This was a section taken out. This was actually Mike Garrett, my dear friend, just got back from Pinos. This was taken with a ZWO camera. I wanted to share this. He gave me permission. It's the Trifid Nebula, and you can see how many stars are really out there in our star cloud. When you're looking across it, are we in the Sagittarius arm or are we in the Orion arm? Exactly. I'm not 100%
They
sure.
call it the Orion Spur. You know?
Spur.
Yeah,
Okay.
Orion Spur. So it's like
So we're
looks like a little wing of an arm coming off, you know. But
thank God we got an arm anyway, right?
Yeah. And I think
So-
that you know, I could be wrong about this, but I think that our solar system over billions of years actually will go from spiral arm to spiral arm. You know,
man.
and I've heard that we happen to be in a fairly quiet zone of the Milky Way. There are
Thank
other parts
God.
of the Milky Way with high levels of radioactivity, and so we're in a nice spot here in the Milky Way. So it's nice to be here.
I know it's a Sagittarius arm we're looking across at. And, boy, it is absolutely amazing that we can look across that grand void of space, and there is that arm. We're seeing it like that. There is his Lagoon Nebula. Mike is really getting some amazing shots.
Oh yeah.
So you can see, you know,
Just
pretty.
anniversary of star birth. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and you look at how many stars are. These are 10-minute subs, is what he's using. So each picture is 10 minutes, and these are just his raws. I just tried to do a little bit with him. You know, I didn't do a whole lot, but here is the one I was trying to put in order. For some reason, I messed it up again, but this is my sketch through your instrument, using a cell phone snapshot in the Procreate side-by-side mode. So literally I can split my screen, put the picture on the right and my drawing on the left, and through weeks and months of tedious work and blending and sketching, I've been able to recreate that. And that is done with that Explore Scientific 6-inch that I have. I call it my surgical instrument because it is sharp. I lost some eyelashes one day because it was so sharp. I couldn't wink at everybody and tell
Don't
them.
wink anymore. Sorry that happened to you.
No, it is truly.
We'll make the telescopes not as sharp in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I see stuff on the moon that, you know, for a 6-inch, it's unbelievable what you can see with that. Even with the one like Cesar got. So I was stunned at how good the Lagoon looked. It's just amazing, man. They're really incredible instruments to have, especially for wide field solar, lunar, planetary, even deep space, you know.
Yeah.
Where you have big open clusters, there's nothing like it. You know, just the view through there, it's special. So we each have a category, you know. Maxitovs are good, but you know, reflectors are nice. But when you have that contrast of a refractor, there's nothing quite like it.
It is something special about that. That's
It
true.
is. Especially when you're looking at the moon. I mean, it just draws you in.
It
Like
looks like
you're
it's
there.
etched out of crystal or something.
I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll use my, on the G11, I'll just use a real slow, so I can move my scope at a certain speed, not 16 times. I do it like 4 times. And you literally can just drive like you're flying your craft on the moon. It's mesmerizing, especially with bino viewers. It's even more.
Oh, right. Yeah,
because it cuts the glare down, and you know, because the moon's so bright, you don't need the filters. You just use the bino viewer, and you're literally driving with dual vision. You know, it's amazing. But yeah, I really like this. Look at the various zones. Look at that one crater. It looked like a piece of pepperoni almost. So
the pepperoni crater.
Yeah, but look at the you know, that scope really pulls in amazing detail. just even at the top, like, one of the things I did when I was younger is paint a golf ball. It's not an easy thing to do, to paint one, make it look realistic. So that was good practice for the dimpling, on this. It gives you, the ability to make it look real.
Yeah.
Through shading. But anyway, I'm proud of that one. And that was done through that Explore Scientific.
Yes.
So I think that will conclude my presentation.
Well, thank you, Charlie.
I wanted to show you one.
Congratulations on winning your Astronomical League award for.
Thank you.
For your work.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. Is I didn't get a chance to show you that one, and I really did want to show that one. So
yeah.
Here it is. That's the winning sketch.
That's the winner right there, huh?
M51, 27 million light years away.
Yeah.
My favorite. It's such an unbelievable galaxy. Even in the 6-inch, I can see it really nice from my location. I think it's Bortle 8. But this was done, over some very good seeing in dark skies and altitude through big telescopes. So, but thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, John. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks, everyone.
I want to thank our audience for tuning in, and want to thank our presenters for taking the time to be, for all their talent and effort to put on the 124th Global Star Party. It's always a pleasure. When I think of the combined knowledge of all of these people that put this event on, I'm really humbled, and so it's great to kind of just be there near the fire, so to speak. We have also just a great audience that watches from around the world, and for those of you that aren't watching this live, of course, we thank you for watching the Global Star Party and sharing it with your friends. And so we should be back on next Tuesday for the 125th Global Star Party. Until that time, you guys take care, and we'll be encouraging you to keep looking up. So good night.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Scott.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Goodbye. Good night.